Okay, so if you've watched adding in bases other than 10 and subtracting in bases other than 10, there's not a whole lot new for me to tell you about multiplying in bases other than 10. Again, I say think in base 10, but write in the base that you're multiplying in. So let's just start with an example. We'll start simple and I'll say, let's suppose I want to multiply 322 base 4 by, we'll just use a single digit number. We'll say 3 base 4. Okay, so the thing to remember again in base 4, we can use the symbol 0, 1, 2, 3. And also, our two-digit numbers have a 1's position and a 4's position. So, as I've been saying all along, we're going to multiply and we're going to think in base 10. We're just going to write in base 4. So think in base 10. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay? So we know 3 times 2 is 6. But in base 4, we can't use the numeral 6 to represent the number 6. So we're going to have to use these numerals here. And to get 6, I need 1 4 and 2 1's. So when I write 6 in base 4, it looks like 1 2. So just like in our normal multiplication, we're going to put down the units digit and carry the other digit. Alright, so 3 times 2 is 6. The way I write 6 is I put down a 2 and I carry a 1, because that's how I write 6 in base 4. Alright, so now when we were in base 10, what we would do at this point would be, we would say this times this plus this. So we can still do that. So we can say 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Alright, but now we have to remember that we have to write that number 7 in base 4. So in order to get 7, I'm going to need 1 4 and 3 1's. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So I'm going to put down the 3 and I'm going to carry the 1. Alright, now we'll do the same thing here. We'll say 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. And now, in order to write 10, we're going to need 2 4's and 2 1's. 2 4's is 8, and 2 1's gives us 10. So 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. And this is how we write 10 in base 4. And so we have our base 4 answer. So 322 base 4 times 3 base 4 is 2232 base 4. Alright, so that's fairly simple. Now what about if we want to multiply by more than 2 digits? So we'll follow the same procedure that we would use in base 10. So suppose I want to multiply 534 base 6 by 45 base 6. Alright, so we're going to start again with what's allowed in base 6, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay? And we also know our base 6 numbers are going to have a 6 position and a 1's position for our two-digit numbers. And when we're adding, subtracting, and multiplying, and even dividing, we're never really going to need to deal with more than 2 digits at a time. So it's sufficient to just look at the 1's and the 6's position here. Okay? Alright, so what did we do in base 10? Well, in base 10, we multiplied everything by the units digit here and got an answer there. And then we'd multiply everything by this digit here and get an answer. And then we would simply add those two answers. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to think in base 10 and write in base 6. Alright, so 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so to get 20, I need 3 of these and 2 of these, right? Because that's going to be 18, 19, 20. So 5 times 4 is 20. So I'm going to put the 2 down and I'm going to carry the 3. And I'm going to use colors here so we can see what's going on. So I'm carrying the 3. All right. Now I'm going to multiply 3 times 5 and add 3. So 3 times 5 is 15. Add 3 is 18. And in order to get 18, I'm going to need 3 6s and 0 1s, right? So that means to write 18 in base 6, I'm going to use the symbols 3 0. So I'm going to put down the 0 here, and I'm going to carry the 3 there. All right, now I'm going to multiply the 5 by the 5 and add 3. So 5 times 5 plus 3, that's 25, plus 3 is 28. Okay, so to get 28, I'm going to need 4 of these, because 4 6s is 24, and then 4 1s to get 28. So here, 5 times 3, 5 plus 3, I'm going to just write the 4 4. Okay, so remember that this is a base 6 number. All right, so now when we did this in grade school, the next thing was we started by putting a 0 here because we're not multiplying by the units digit anymore. We're multiplying by the second digit. So we're going to have to shift everything over. So we start by putting a 0 here. And this is a base 6 number still. And then we'll just do the whole thing over. And this time I'll write what I carried in red so we can see the difference from what was written in blue. All right, so 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so to get 16, let's see, I'm going to need 2 of these, so that's 12, and 4 1s, so 12 and 4 is 16. Okay, so I'm going to put down the 4, and then I'm going to carry the 2 up here. All right, and then I'm going to go 5 times 3 plus 2. Okay, so 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So in order to write 17, I'm going to need 2 of these, that's 12, and 5 1s. So 12 and 5 is 17. Okay, so again, I'm going to put down the 5, and I'm going to carry the 2. And then I'm going to multiply the 4 times the 5 now. Okay, so we have 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22. So again, we're thinking the number in base 10, we have the number 22. So how do we write 22 in base 6? Well, I'm going to need 3 of these, because that's going to be 18. And then 4 of these, because 18 plus 4 is 22. All right, so to write 22 then in base 6, I use a 3 and a 4. And since it's the last number I'm multiplying, I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 and the 4 here. All right, so now, just like in basic arithmetic, we're going to add. And now we just remember that when we add, we're adding base 6 numbers. So if the answer is bigger than 5, we have to use 2 digits again. Okay, so 2 plus 0 is 2. Okay, and remember our answer is a base 6 number. 0 plus 4 is 4. Okay, so that's a legitimate base 6 number. 4 plus 5 is 9. Okay, 9 we can't use, right? So in order to write 9, we're going to need 1 of these and 3 of these, right? Okay, so 4 plus 5 is 9, so we're going to put down the 3, and we're going to carry the 1. Okay, and now 1 plus 4 is 9, so we write it the same way, so we're going to put down the 3, and then we're going to carry the 1 here, and 1 plus 3 is 4, which is a legitimate base 6 number. And now we have just multiplied these 2 numbers, and our answer is a base 6 number as well.